He was number 1 in fantasy points per game. I'm still taking Patrick Mahomes. I'm still taking Murray. I'm still taking Josh Allen. But that's it. That's the end of story. Those 3. And then I'm taking...
We are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by Line Movement. Too early quarterback rankings. It's January, and we're literally talking about fantasy football 2021-22. But we had to get one of these videos out. We're going to go position by position. Today, we're going to talk through quarterback. Obviously, I don't have to do this alone, which is nice. We have Jake Seeley with us from The Athletic. Obviously, he's doing his own rankings and doing it very well. So check out everything he has going on over there. I would imagine he has something similar going out soon. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to have Jake on for him basically gets to do what he normally does. He's going to tell me where I'm wrong in a lot of ways. So we're going to go through my top 10 at the quarterback position here first, and then Jake's going to tell me that I'm wrong in many ways, I'm sure. So I'm going to throw that on the screen right now. I do have Patrick Mahomes at number 1. Actually, you know what, Jake? How you doing, first off? I know we've been doing a lot of recording today. I didn't even ask you how you are. This is going to come out later than the Super Bowl prediction stuff. So how are you, man? How's the ranking season? I guess we're getting closer, right?
Oh yeah, we're getting close.
We're there.
People want to talk rankings already. It's so fun to do these two, and then just look as soon as free agency and the draft hit, like how many things are going to change.
Yeah.
So I don't include rookies because who knows where they're going to land, because it's going to be a big difference outside of Trevor Lawrence. We know where he's going, but yeah, that's going to be a big change. I'm doing good. I'm playing the flu game today, so to speak, like that. What did you have that happen? Was it 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yeah,
playing through the sickness.
Yeah, it's never fun, man. So I appreciate you jumping on to knock
not
this
COVID,
out.
Everybody.
Not COVID, so that's good. Yeah, but just being sick, man, it's not a good time. So we're gonna battle through this. We have Jake's flu game here to battle through. So again, I jumped the gun a little bit there. Shout out to me as the host that could be better. Patrick Mahomes is my number 1 quarterback. I don't think we have probably a difference there. But that's probably not very shocking for people. But as I go down my list, I have Josh Allen number 2, Kyler Murray number 3, Lamar Jackson number 4, Deshaun Watson. I mean, we'll see where he ends up. I have him number 5, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson to round out my too early quarterback top 10. So Jake, I'll kick this one to you. Was there anything that was just like aggressively wrong when you saw this? I guess are we somewhat aligned? Like we mentioned that we both have Patrick Mahomes number 1, but I'm curious if anything of these was like, whoa, what is Joe doing here? Is there anything that's really bad?
It's not really bad. It's quarterback too. It's a very slim margin.
Yeah.
But the 2 bigger differences we have is the Jalen Hurts. I have him at 12, and then Russell Wilson I have at 7. So I understand. Like, I actually thought Russell Wilson was a little low for me at 7. I thought I would get pushed back myself because, Russell Wilson, look how great he was. But, we're going from somebody with the situation of like he wasn't cooking in the second half to use that. Hopefully that's dead in 2021. Can we put the kitchen crap away? But the scheme, what Pete Carroll wants to do, the changes and what they're talking about for offensive coordinator now is like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be much different than what we saw in the second half, let alone if we got back to the first half, 7's low. If it's the second half of the season, your 10 ranking might be more accurate. Again, if you want to take them, I'm fine with that. The Hurts one is what I come down to. So for me, in my rankings, and I broke this down in my rankings, it Hurts/Wentz. I still think it's Wentz.
Really?
Because, well, here's the problem. They're on the hook for $25 million no matter what. Even if they found a trade partner, because the cap hit that they're going to have is like 25 minimum. It could be as high as 30 something. I think it's 31 and change or something like that. And the problem is it drops down after the post June 1st, but you're not going to be able to trade him at that point. You're going to have traded him already. So there's a hell of a lot of money. I don't know what the exact number is. There, you'll go find it. There's different reports. You could say between 25 and 35 million. Somehow they're on the hook for that. No matter what, you cannot take up that much of your cap even if you trade him away. You just can't do that. So I think Wentz is back. I think you just see the fans' reactions of what happens every single year in football. It was just last year people were talking about him being a top 5 quarterback and that he's the next great and all this type of stuff. I do think he played poorly this year. And I do think there's both to this. There's room for concern, but there's also room for optimism with the coaching change there. No more Doug Peterson. They're bringing in somebody who's familiar with him, familiar with the system, maybe make some tweaks and changes, and you see him bounce back. And that's where I would say Wentz for me would be at 12. Hurts with his rushing upside, I think that he's 12 as well. I would kind of put both of them right around there. But the problem with Hurts is it's going to be more. It's not going to it's going to be Josh Allen 2018-19 for Hurts.
Yeah,
I'm still concerned about the passing.
I mean, you bring up a good point too. Like, it's even going to come into like focus when we're talking about like Taysom Hill versus like Jameis Winston. So you almost just like put them together. We'll see if that shakes out throughout the offseason. I think that like if Jalen Hurts does like truly get the keys, I more or less just wanted to make a stand that like he is going to be one of my later round value picks, I would imagine, just because of that rushing upside. He's a guy you can get a little bit later. I would strongly prefer a guy like Hurts versus like some of the veterans that might be available, like wherever Stafford ends up, that sort of thing. So I saw enough to think that there is going to be some upside there if he does end up taking over. But you make a good point on Wentz. So that's why these are the two early rankings, Jake. So I'm with you on that. One of the things
also
that I was... What's up?
I was gonna say for Hurts, I have him over all those, the Staffords, but I do have him one spot behind Joe Burrow. I would still take Burrow over him next year.
Okay.
I know that he looked rough at times. And then you brought up the Saints situation. I have Jameis Winston as the expected starter for now. Taysom Hill wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. I get this feeling with the Saints that they like Taysom Hill as in the answer if need be, and just kind of keep him there because Sean Payton's still going to be there. He's not going anywhere. Drew Brees is. I think Jameis Winston, if he's the starting quarterback for the Saints next year, top 10.
Okay,
and it's not even a question. Like 9 might even be low because we just saw him finish as a top 5 quarterback, throwing 1 billion interceptions for a much worse arguable team. I understand that he doesn't have the number 2 of the caliber that he did with the Bucks, but you could say Michael Thomas, Kamara, that offense, they're going to do something else, even if it's only Emmanuel Sanders. I think he'll be top 10, not top 5, but top 10.
Okay, so I mean, I'm not too far away on that. I have him at 11 right now, so just outside my top 10. But I think that's still we're in the same universe on that one at least. So yeah, let's talk about Russell Wilson for a second. Like, my big concern is that they kind of let Russ cook a little bit this year, and it didn't really work out. So like, it depending on what happens, I guess with the play calling. Like, I think there's a chance that Russell Wilson's we're just never going to see Russell Wilson be completely unleashed. Like, I understand, like, there were some weeks this year where he looked like the MVP, the best quarterback in the league. And there were also weeks where like there just wasn't enough volume to go around. So to me, like, I get that he has the rushing ability, but I would much rather have obviously anyone in the top 10. But I think it's a pretty decent conversation if we're just looking in that like 5 to 7, 8 range to like look at a Justin Herbert or look at an Aaron Rodgers. I think Dak Prescott's someone that I'm a little bit lower on than you are, but it sounds like Dak Prescott is significantly ahead of Russ. But I have Russ at 10 right now. I won't ask you, I guess, exactly where you have Russ, but you have him a little bit higher than me. So it sounds like you're a little bit more bullish on him.
I am. I just still think there's upside to, the difference for 2021 is hopefully it doesn't go from Russ is cooking like crazy to Russ is not doing anything. Like,
sure.
A happy medium. Like, we don't need to necessarily get Russell Wilson first 7-8 games. Just don't have us have the second half of the season. Find a mix. You can still run and still let Russell Wilson be the best thing that is on that team. And that's going to obviously affect DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett when we talk about wide receivers. But yeah, Dak Prescott, I think Dak Prescott's going to be on a ton of my teams, a ton, because we did a way too early mock draft. I took him at the 6th quarterback off the board where you have him, and I laughed. There's no way. Like, 6th, I think it was the end of the 6th round. I was on the turn, so 6th, 7th round right there. You're going to give me the guy who was number 3, number 2, number 1, depending on your league. I mean, in points per game, he was number 1 in fantasy points per game. I'm still taking Patrick Mahomes. I'm still taking Murray. I'm still taking Josh Allen. But that's it. That's the end of story. Those 3. And then I'm taking Dak Prescott. Assumingly, I think we're all assuming the Cowboys are not stupid and they're bringing him back. But Dak Prescott has proven it for 2 years. He still has Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb in his 2nd season, Michael Gallup going into his 3rd year. You have Ezekiel Elliott, who was putting up double digits every single game, is despite the fact that Zeke doesn't look as great as he used to. Mm-hmm. He was still a top 5 running back through those first games with Dak Prescott, and their defense still sucks. So that's the good thing.
Yeah, Dak is one that I guess Dak was a harder one to rank for me. And I feel the same way about Zeke in some ways, because I think that we saw like the ceiling there, but there was also moments where just Zeke did not look very good. I guess Dak, we hope he comes back and is the old Dak. That defense is still not going to be very good, I guess, pending what they do in the draft, but the weapons are just so elite that I think that he's one that we have to prioritize towards the top. So I'm with you on that. So I guess at the very kind of towards the top of our rankings here, one of the bigger differences we had also, I guess slightly different, but Lamar Jackson, I'm definitely still bullish on him versus a guy like Dak Prescott. I think the floor there is still super safe. He just like literally we're a year removed from him having one of the best seasons ever at the quarterback position. So I guess how do you feel about like that Lamar, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen tier if we just put Mahomes kind of in a tier on his own? Not that I'm going to end up with many of these guys because I very rarely draft early quarterback anyway, but I still think it's an interesting combo.
And I actually would say that going into next year for me, I don't think there is a tier of his own this year. Like, so a lot of people made the case that Mahomes and Lamar Jackson were in a tier of their own this year, and we saw what happened with Lamar Jackson. I think that team is similarly susceptible to the situation with Russell Wilson, is that let Lamar Jackson throw a little bit more. Go back and watch some of the throws he's making and some of the quarterback play he did at Louisville. Name some people that were on that team with him. And like, so I still think Lamar Jackson can be a better thrower than what we've seen. I do think he still is. He's going to always have some flaws. That's the quarterback he is. But I think that those would, for me, depending on where Deshaun Watson lands, I say there's a big 6 for me. And I don't think one of them. I don't think Mahomes is on a tier of his own. Like, if you want to say that he's got the highest floor with one of the highest ceilings. But again, Dak Prescott averaged more than he did in fantasy points per game until he got hurt. It's like Dak Prescott was going off. Kyler Murray, for the first 10 weeks, was going ballistic. He was the number one. And then Russell Wilson was right behind him. I think his cutoff in week 8 or 9. But so that's why I would say there's a 6 for me. For your rankings, it would be Mahomes, Allen, Murray, Jackson, Watson, Prescott would be my 6, unless Watson ends up on the Jets. Then I'd probably knock him out of there.
Okay.
Well, why does he want to go to the Jets? Why is he like?
Doesn't he have a tie to like one of the coaches there? I thought I read that.
Robert Saleh. He likes Robert Saleh.
Seems like an odd stand to make. Go from Houston to the Jets. Like, doesn't that seem somewhat lateral? I don't know. That's kind of an odd one overall.
Rashard Perriman's not. I mean, does he think Denzel Mims and Jamison Crowder are that great? I mean, I don't know.
I probably played more Denzel Mims than I should have this year. That's for sure. Let's end this.
If you did it more than once.
Oh, I definitely did it more than once for sure. I'm a sucker for a good Whopper, Jake. You know this. So in terms of, let's wrap up with these, I guess, sophomore quarterbacks. So Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. These ones were a little bit more difficult for me. I have Herbert significantly ahead of Burrow. It sounds like you have them a little bit closer together, so you're not worried about coming off the injury. I just love the weapons for Herbert. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on these sophomore guys.
Yeah, I like both of them. I obviously, there's plenty of time to figure out what Joe Burrow is going to look like. Yeah. Is he going to miss camp and all that type of stuff? You know, things could change a lot. But for right now, assuming he's ready to roll, T. Higgins did a hell of a lot more as a rookie than I thought he was going to do. I didn't think we were going to be talking about T. Higgins till this next year, 2021. So you have Higgins and Boyd, and then they're probably either going to try and find somebody like maybe, I think Adam Humphries is a free agent, like somebody like that, maybe come in to give some competition with the rest of the guys, just because they really have been struggling to find a third option. But the good news is that with AJ Green gone, T. Higgins has already stepped up into the place like we saw when Tyler Boyd was out. So I think that if you look at that offense, Bengals are another team that their defense, they could address it in the draft. They could address it in free agents. Still is not going to be that much better next year. We're not going to talk about going from one of the worst defenses in the league to one of the best. So you're still talking about a Division II where they're going to have to be aggressive. So Joe Burrow saw enough from him to think that I would take Herbert. I would, but I don't think it's a very large gap.
Okay. I think that, maybe I thought we were a little bit further away on that one than we are, but this will be an interesting conversation to continue throughout the offseason, obviously. So toss a like on this video. If you're here for the first time, consider subscribing to the channel. Let us know in the comments who your top 3 is at quarterback. Maybe it's similar to my rankings. Maybe I'm a complete donkey. Tell me where I'm wrong. You guys always love to do that. So Jake Seeley at The Athletic, of course, check out his rankings over there. Obviously, check him out on Twitter. He's at AllInKid. Jake, thanks for doing this, man. See you on the next one.